for this meeting is such a one. There are two kinds of minister and two kinds of ministry. And the first category falls into, majority fall into the first category. That's the beginning of ministry. Because I know I'm talking to ministers. But we must not end there. We must further take ministry to the next level. Jesus told the disciples, let us cross to the other side. The other side of ministry, only few are there. And the only few who are there are the ones that seemingly are commanding results in ministry and in their generation. The first aspect of ministry is the dimension. It doesn't matter your giftings, calling, offices, skills, ability. You can fall in that category. It's the category where your ministry just brings people into knowledge. It's an informative minister, an informative ministry. When you dwell too much in that ministry, you realize that at a point you begin to lose your salt. So what happens there is that you begin to bring information to the body. But you see, the second side of ministry is an empowerment side of ministry, and it's not limited to the apostles. As a music minister, you can drive your calling into that dimension where you do not just make lyrics and melody available, but you can, by the ministry of music, also bring empowerment to sing. I'm talking about the reality of ministry, the essence of ministry, a point where the word becomes flesh, where we are not just discussing doctrine. Doctrine is good, we must stay at doctrine. But at a point in your music ministry, at a point in your ministry, anywhere you fall in the fivefold, you need to trust God to a point where you are not just talking about the hand of God, but you can bring the hand of God to the scene. It's not enough for you to talk about the mightiness of God, but you can demonstrate the mightiness of God even as a teacher. That right when you are still doing the scripture, the blind is shouting somewhere at the back, bondage are being loosed, people's eyes are being opened, people are being empowered, people are driven into the reality of their calling and essence of life. And that is where the laboring of ministry is. As ministers, we are called to labor. And except you labor in ministry, you will realize that you are struggling in ministry. But the labor is not with human flesh, it's the labor in the scripture, laboring in the word. How do I receive song? I labor in the word. How do you receive lyrics? You labor in the word. There is a laboring you do, like one mining gold, and you get to a point where you begin to discover virtues.